Hi guys, it's Katie from The Contented Plant, and today we are going to be repotting and staking my Raphidophora Tetrasperma, otherwise known as a mini Monstera. This plant is actually not in the Monstera family at all, but it is an aroid plant, so they have similar potting needs. And it has these cute little fenestrated leaves, and it does much better when it's staked. You can see it's really kind of falling over. I've had it for about a year now. It's a very happy plant. It's been putting on lots of new growth, and it does have some fenestrations up at the top here, but the word on the street is if you stake it up, it'll be much happier and produce lots more leaves and fenestrations. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just empty it out here because the roots, I'm assuming, are kind of growing sideways, and we need them to grow the opposite way if we're going to try and get it to climb onto the stake. So I'm very gently going to remove it from the pot. This is also a very good time to take a look at the roots and make sure nothing is rotting, that they're all happy little aroid roots. I'm actually gonna switch out some of this potting mixture as well. Right now it's got probably 50% potting mix and quite a bit of moss in there because the moss is also very light and airy, so it's really a popular potting medium to do. But I'm gonna switch it out so that it's got quite a bit more perlite and orchid bark, perlite and orchid bark, along with the potting soil. As you can see, it's got a great root structure here. I'm just gonna take some of that dirt off and separate it out a little bit. Okay, so I have most of the soil off. As you can see, it's got a really nice long root structure. I have felt the roots, they're all in really good shape. None of them are rotted or mushy. So it's a very happy little plant. It's got one aerial root right at the top and another one on the side here. And we're just going to pot it so that it's sitting up like this. It's gonna be a little cockeyed because it has this pretty hard turn in it. I probably should have staked it a little bit earlier, but we're gonna stake it now and see how it does. I'm gonna add more perlite into the soil here, and I'm also gonna add quite a bit of orchid bark. When you're handling perlite, you always wanna wear a dust mask, so I'm gonna put that on now. So what the perlite and the orchid bark are gonna do is it's gonna add pockets of air. The bark especially is gonna help with that. And the perlite is going to allow moisture to get down to the roots, but it shouldn't make this potting soil too heavy. And I can tell it was too heavy before because I had a large mixture of just potting soil at the bottom and it was very wet. And at the top, it was mostly moss and it felt extremely dry. So that's confusing as a plant person. You think that your soil is dry when it actually has quite a bit of moisture still sitting in the bottom. And for an aroid plant, you don't want that because that will rot the roots. So I'm just filling my pot up halfway, and then I'm going to take my plant and see kind of where I want the roots to lay in here. And then I'm going to be staking it with a bamboo stake. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in there, kind of right in the center. Okay. You can see it's right in the center of the pot there. And then I'm just gonna continue adding the growing medium around the plant. So since my stalk is a little bit crooked, what I'm gonna do is start coming from behind, and I'm gonna kind of twist the top up and around on the pole here so that the top has a lot of support. So I'm just using a bamboo stake, and I'm using this Velcro tape that I just got on Amazon. And I'm gonna start cutting the Velcro into sections and using it to support the plants. Okay, so I put one in the middle. I'm gonna put another one at the top and maybe one at the bottom as well. And then I might need to put a little more potting soil in there just to support the stake so we don't fall over here. This Raphidophora, like I said, is a very happy plant and it's growing rapidly and getting quite heavy. The other thing you can do with these plants is a moss pole. Those are very popular as well. I'll probably eventually switch this out to a moss pole, but for now I'm just gonna keep it on the bamboo stake and see how it does. Okay, that looks happy plant. You can see the top, the leaves are coming over here because that's how it was growing. But I think with it staked like this, it will start growing up the pole, or we're gonna hope it does. So the care for this plant is pretty simple. It's an aroid, so it wants to have pretty dry soil. You don't have to water it very often. I water mine once every couple weeks, and they also like a lot of humidity. Mine has been living right next to my little 5-gallon fish tank, and it is just happy. It doesn't get a whole lot of light there. Honestly, these don't need a ton of light. You don't want them in the dark. They're not low light plants, but they also don't need massive amounts of bright direct light. So they will do okay in a lower light setting. Okay, so it is all staked up here. I've switched the potting medium out, so it's a little bit of an aroid friendly potting mixture, and I'm happy with that. I will just continue watering and giving it fertilizer every so often. I usually water it with my fish tank water because it loves the nitrates in the water, and it has been doing great. If you guys have any questions about this plant, please drop them down below. I would love to see if you guys also have this plant and how it's growing for you. We'll see you next time at the Contented Plant. Bye-bye.